Hey, before we get in this episode, can you do us a favor? Will you go ahead and subscribe to the channel?
Will you ring that notification bell?
And if you would, give this video a like. Well, enough of that mumbo jumbo. Let's get to the episode.
Let's talk developmentally speaking, glow up, and connecting through wrestling.
Thank you again for doing this for us. We do appreciate you so much.
Not a problem.
We'll try to make this short and sweet so you can get back to your day, okay?
All right.
Fantastic. All right. Hey, everybody, I'm Morty.
And I'm Brian.
And on today's episode of Developmentally Speaking Presents a Globe, we have Gremlina. Gremlina, how you doing?
Doing fine.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Now, on our show, we usually start off with the first question, and it's the same first question for everybody. How did you get into wrestling?
Well, I've been a fan since I was 6. My dad took me to my first wrestling match back in the old NWA Mid-Atlantic days, because I'm from Virginia, and it just grew from there.
Awesome. So NWA Mid-Atlantic, who were some of your favorites?
Oh, well, it depends on what era you're talking about. Pre-WWE, it was my first match, my first card had like Nelson Royal, and Johnny Weaver. Back when I started going to matches by myself and all, it had like Sergeant Slaughter, Don Kernodle, Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Jay Youngblood.
That's awesome.
You know.
Yeah.
Greg
Those are some
Valentine.
names now. That's memorable names. We actually just got to meet Ricky Steamboat last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Super nice guy.
Yes, he is.
Hope to be able to do some stuff with him on here sometime. So you said you were a fan since you were 6 years old?
Yep.
That's about the same as me. I've been a fan I remember being 3 years old watching Survivor Series. So, I've definitely enjoyed wrestling that long too. So, with Glow, how did you find out about it? How did you?
Well, like I said, I was a fan of wrestling. In my early 20s, I moved to New York. So I watched a lot of WWF. I was at the very first WrestleMania. I was at one of the closed circuit locations for the very first Starrcade in '83. So it's always been there.
Wow.
And of course, anytime wrestling was on TV, as a teenager and young adult and all, I watched it. And with a friend of mine and my ex-husband, and we started watching a show called Glow. And I was like blown away because you didn't see, I had just started seeing women wrestling, with the Rock and Wrestling Collection with Wendy Richter's, Moolah, Cyndi Lauper. You just didn't see women, especially back in the NWA days. Oh, God. So it was kind of unique and different for me.
Right. Yeah, and definitely that's awesome that you were actually at the first Mania, and you always hear about closed circuit television from that's awesome. To actually that you actually got to witness that as well. So, did you just when it came to Glow? We've been told that there was a phone number that they said.
Yeah, there was on the show at the very, during the show at one of the commercial breaks, they said if you know of any women, or if you are a woman, or if your sister, mother, niece, nephew, daughter want to become a wrestler, call us here at the Riviera. They had a number. Well, the friend I was with, she really wanted to, and she was a big girl. She was 5'8", big girl. Me, I'm 4'9", and at the time I weighed 105 pounds.
Oh wow!
So I really wasn't thinking about. I got to get this camera straight. I really wasn't thinking about being a wrestler.
Right.
So we found out where the audition was, and we went. Well, she went. I just went to support her. And I was living in Maryland at the time. And the audition on the East Coast was in a place called not Columbia, Commerce, Georgia. So we drove from Maryland to Georgia, and it was an all-night drive. And here I am. I'm in no makeup, glasses, hair in a ponytail, hot rod T-shirt, jeans. Like I said, I wasn't going to try out. And we got there, and the auditions basically were over. And she somehow convinced the director and the writer to talk to her. And we were there, and you got to understand something. Matt Simber is a brilliant man, the director and one of the creators of Glow. Brilliant man. He had a way of seeing characters and bringing out characters. He sees something in people, and his mind just was 10 steps ahead. Well, he's also very blunt. He would tell you if he thought you were if you had too big a butt, too fat a thigh. He was very blunt. It wasn't, and I don't think he was being nasty or body shaming. I think he just wanted us to be the best we could, because he had a vision of this show. And his vision of Glow was Hee Haw and Mad Magazine meet wrestling. So
I've
he
never
looked
heard
at
that
my
before.
friend.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And he looked at my friend and he said something along the lines of, my show is called The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. You're too ugly for my show. Well, like I said, I'm hot, tired, and didn't want to deal with anyone's BS. So I basically looked at him and the writer and went, F you, and flipped him the bird. They looked at each other, then looked at me and went, we want you for the show. I thought they were nuts. I'm, like I said, 4'9", 105 pounds. That was not a wrestler to me. And we talked, and in September, that was in March. In September, I flew out to Las Vegas and joined the girls that were in the first round and stuck it out, and that's how I got into Glow.
Wow. So literally you got into Glow by giving Matt Simber the middle finger. That's one of the most unique stories I've heard. That's
I guess I could say I'm the only person that ever got a job by flipping the owner off.
I love that. That is awesome. So
True story, but yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So was the Gremlina character something that you developed on your own, or was it given to you?
A little bit of both. Matt, like I said, Matt looked at these girls and said, you are so-and-so, you are so-and-so. And like I said, when my season came in, all of Glow had disbanded, and David McLean had started up PAL. And a lot of the first and second season Glow girls went with David, so they had to start from scratch. So some of the girls were like new additions, or a new take on an old thing, like cheerleaders, another Russian, a new Dementia.
Right.
And then he had some new characters, like Liberty and Justice, Havana, Beastie the Road Warrior, Evangelina. And he tried to bring in new, but also keep some of the tried and true.
Right.
And one day, everybody was getting their characters, and I'm like sitting here going, look, why haven't you given me a character? What am I going to be doing? He looked at me and he said, little people are mean, evil, vicious ankle biters.
In Arctic Alaska.
You're a Gremlina.
And Arctic is.
Oh, what's a Gremlina? I asked. That's when he said, watch the movie Gremlins.
You'll never want to leave.
So I did.
Yeah.
And I took some aspects of the movie Gremlins and
Sorry.
to develop that screechy, raspy voice, I added the striped gremlin voice with the Wicked Witch of the West, which is how I got that weird cackly voice. And never give, I will say this about Matt, never give him an idea, because if he likes it, he'll run with it. I told him I did not want to have my head shaved and have a white stripe, mohawk like stripe. I said, that probably means you'll give me black stripe. Well, that's when he came up with the idea of the silver blonde hair with the black streak down the middle. And Roxy Astor did my hair. She did a lot of the girls' hair in Glow because she was a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And Nanuchka's mother did all the costumes. And they, the gremlins that were reptilian, so they put me in snake skin.
That's awesome.
And the makeup we went through, God, I went through a whole day of different types of makeup. And I went from looking like a member of Cats to some other stuff, and Matt just went, I can't make you ugly. So we ended up doing very minimal makeup, light browns, earth tones, and he had the makeup artist make a fake wart with the hair coming out. And the hair in that wart is my actual hair from the top of my black stripe.
Oh wow.
And it had to be put on and kept glued on for when I would tape. So
Yeah.
that's how that happened.
Wow.
Look out the window. Right there.
I didn't know they went that deep with
Yeah.
the character development, especially with makeup and everything. That's amazing that they. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You got to understand, unlike the Netflix show, we started training. We flew in on that Sunday, got our apartment assignments because we had moved out of the Riviera by then, and the building we trained in and shot the show in my season was 3 or 4 blocks away. So we'd walk to our training center. We had an apartment that was provided to us. We'd get there at 9 in the morning, start out with aerobics and cardio for about 90 minutes. Then we do like gymnastics, tumbling, boxing, wrestling moves. We'd take a break for lunch, come back, and again we'd warm up with aerobics until about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. We would same drills, running the ropes, training, go to the gym and lift weights, run track. It depended on what you needed your body to do and what you needed your character to do. And then after dinner, we'd meet, and that's when we work on character developments, camera angles, how to play to an audience, a camera. Because a lot of these girls, some of them were actresses, some of them, like me, I was an accountant. We had them from all walks of life, so it basically from 9 in the morning till 11 or 12 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday, and even some Saturdays, we were training, we were working. So it was none of that stuff you saw in the Netflix series of go out and party or play. And we had strict rules and a curfew. There was no smoking, drinking, drugs, or partying. And if you were caught, you were fined or fired.
Right, and babies had to stay with babies, and heels had to stay with heels. Right, there was no.
Oh yes, you could not be seen with a baby if you were a heel, unless you were talking shit to each other.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. That's wow. That's man. The devotion.
And the apartments were set up that way. Baby faces roomed with baby faces, heels roomed with heels. My roommate was Big Bad Mama.
Oh wow. Okay. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So, if you had any advice for any up and coming wrestling talent, not just in general, what would you give them?
Well, the first thing I would say is you have to ask yourself one important question. How bad do you want it?
Absolutely.
And if you can't answer that question, it ain't for you.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree
Because it takes hard work, blood, sweat, tears, commitment, and definitely get proper training I cannot stress that enough. You do and can get injured in that ring. And that was one thing Matt was religious about. Train. Again, smoother. Work with your people. You have to be able to trust the girl you're across the ring from. And honestly, I was very difficult to work with because I hated going off my feet. I did not want to be picked up off my feet and thrown. I was nope, 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 nope. And there's only one girl in Glow that ever got me up off my feet, and that was Sunny the California doll, California girl. She got me up in a fireman's carry, and you know, and you can ask some of the girls who worked with me. I was damn near impossible, even at 105 pounds, to lift up off my feet.
That's funny. I was about to say, being so small, not wanting to be lifted off your feet. That's pretty funny. I like that. You know, hold your ground.
Oh, and evidently I did it very well because there was only, like I said, one person.
Wow.
You know, and of course I trusted Fiji, and we were trained by Nanuchka. My season was trained by Nanuchka and briefly by Debbie Debutante. So
Okay.
I did have trust of, you know, Nanuchka and Fiji, and, you know, a lot of the first season, you know, a lot of the alumni that did come back, like the Farmers' Daughters and all. I did have some faith and trust, but still, you were not getting my butt off that mat, off my feet. Period. End of discussion. And oh, believe me, Matt and I had many a fight about that.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, we do appreciate you coming on here. Like I said, we were going to keep it short for you. Unless there's anything else that you want to tell everybody, we could cut it off here if you'd like. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes. A couple of things are happening in the Glow world.
Absolutely. Plug away.
We are several of the girls have already been. If you've been following social media, we are part of a podcast and a future Amazon book coming out this fall. The first episode of the podcast, it's called More Than a Wrestler. You know, living the dream, keep the glow up, more than a wrestler. And it's our stories.
Awesome.
It's
awesome.
And the podcasts are amazingly done. It's done by a brilliant person named Ken Penn. Roxy Astor was the debut. Mine was second. And Friday they just dropped Sunny the California Girls. And in September on the 16th, we are going to be in Palm Springs, California at Oscars to do a night of question and answer with the Glow Girls.
Fantastic.
It's going to be me, Roxy, Sunny, Debbie Dallas, Royal Hawaiian, and a few other surprises.
Awesome.
Also, in May of 2023, we are doing our fourth Afterglow reunion cruise. We've done 3 that have been successful. We've toured the Caribbean, Mexico, and we're going to be cruising out of Miami in May 7th to the 14th. And if you need, people can hit me up on social media at Sandy Gremlina Manley on Facebook, and I will DM you the person you need to talk to if you're interested in joining us on the cruise. It's a wild, wacky, fun, life-altering experience. Also on social media on Sandy Gremlina Manley. I post any appearances. I do a lot of Comic-Cons.
Awesome.
And sci-fi and fantasy cons. I'm going to be an 8-time guest at Rhode Island Comic-Con. This is their 10th anniversary. I was at their first one, and I'm going to be at the one in November in Providence, Rhode Island. We've got stars from the show Supernatural, The Mandalorian. We've got Vincent D'Onofrio, Jackie Earle Haley, John Cleese,
Wow.
John Glover. It's a great, fantastic 3-day event in Providence, Rhode Island. That's November 4th through the 6th. I will be there. And like I said, I post any and all events and stuff that Glow is doing on my social media page.
Fantastic. I'm amazed by how she can has all the dates memorized.
I know.
I can't. The only reason I ever make it to any of the conventions we do is because he remembers the dates and he just tells me. I can't. I can't remember any of that. But
If I forget, I'm screwed.
oh yeah, right, absolutely.
I mean, I don't have an agent. My husband helps me. He does a lot of the driving. He makes sure I get to where I can go. And if he can't make it, he makes sure that I'm in good hands with one of the girls or with whoever I'm going to be with. So I can get out there, keep the brand, keep the glow up going. And, it's been an amazing, it will always be an amazing, wonderful ride.
Yes.
And I just hope that we girls are keeping it real, keeping the legacy going. And we always enjoy listening to, talking to, and meeting fans and hear how Glow is impacted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And it
another
has.
big part of what this podcast and book is about. More than a wrestler, we want to empower and inspire people, because we Glow girls came from every walk of life. We've each had our own ups, downs, back, forwards, highs and lows, and we just want people to know that, hey, the dream is in your hands. And like I said, when you asked me what advice, we've all asked ourselves, how bad do you want it?
Yeah. And we hope that our podcast helps your guys' podcast as well, because that's the reason why Developmentally Speaking exists. Every episode that we have Developmentally Speaking, we have Glow Up, and we have Connecting Through Wrestling. And all of them is to bring out everyone's stories, to let people know what you all did, because you all were pioneers for women's wrestling and just wrestling in general. So that's why we created Glow Up. We want people to know. Developmentally Speaking is about the developmental territories, OVW, HWA, stuff like that. That's why we did this.
Don't forget, I was also a talk radio host for several years on Cloverleaf Radio, and I was former commissioner and manager in VCW, Virginia Championship. Well, it was Vanguard, now Virginia Championship Wrestling, in the Hampton Roads area of Hampton, Virginia.
Wow.
And I still have a relationship with them. I'm on a brief hiatus because last year I had some heart issues. So, and in Virginia you have to be medically cleared and get a license. So I'm taking a brief hiatus, but you can take the girl out of the ring, but you can't take the ring out of the girl. I might be back managing. I might be back causing trouble. I'm a heel. That's my job.
Yeah, me too. I hear it. I love being a heel. Nothing's better than being a heel. I hear you. Well, once again, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. On behalf of Brian and myself, Gremlina, you've been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Anytime.
Yep. You have a great one. Thank you.
You too.
Hey, everybody, it's Morty.
It's Brian.
And thank you for watching today's episode of Developmentally Speaking.
If you could, please click that subscribe button.
And don't forget to punch that bell icon so you can get notified whenever we go live or drop a new video every Monday. Well, thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you on the next
Developmentally Speaking.